We're constantly as an industry be like, suck it up, buttercup, get over it. And I agree that's needed on the fire ground. We do a tough job. We need to be able to compartmentalize when we go on a call and not
Right.
and be able to perform our jobs efficiently on a call and not be like having flashbacks like while you're there. But we need to have that ability to compartmentalize to some aspect. When you compartmentalize, you're putting everything in shoe boxes and you're putting it in the closet. Like, here's this bad traumatic event. Let me put it in the shoebox, tuck it away, put it in the closet. Never happened. We're
Yeah.
good. At some point in your career, that closet's getting full
Hmm.
and you can't put any more in, and stuff starts spilling out and you can't get it back in.
What's up, everyone? You're listening to The Engine House. My name's Cody. I'll be your host. And if this is your first time listening, welcome. Before we get started, I have to mention a couple things. First is our sponsors. This episode's brought to you by Engine House Designs. That's my company. We specialize in custom fire service apparel. Whether it's hats, hoodies, jackets, we can hook you up with patches or decals, and now we're doing custom flags too. So if that's something that you're interested in, check us out at enginehousepodcast.com. You can also look at our social medias. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. I'd also like to thank the Kitchen Table Foundation for sponsoring this episode. They're doing a lot of great things for first responders across the country and providing a lot of great resources for us. Whether it's mental health or other needs, they've got you covered. I also want to say that if you've been listening for a while and you're enjoying what we're doing here, share the show with somebody. It's the cheapest and easiest way to, spread the word about the show, and it helps us a lot. If you could hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, then you'll get notified as soon as we drop a new episode. So without further ado, let's get her started. As always, with our first segment, the Size Up. This is where we get a brief introduction of our guest. And so what I need for you to do, pal, is answer your name, your current assignment or job title, and how many years you've been doing it. If there's anything else you'd like to throw out there, go for it.
Yeah, Cody, thanks for having me. My name's Shepard. I'm with the Little Rock Fire Department, also volunteer in my hometown for the Calvert Township Volunteer Fire Department. I've been volunteering for 20 years and a career guy for about 16. In Little Rock, I'm on a tiller truck. Amazing assignment. Love it. Great. We swap out drivers front and back, and it's truck 7, and it's on the north side of a big hospital, UAMS, on Markham Street. So we've got a very diverse district. We've got $1 million homes to the north of us. To the south, we've got boarded up homes. So you never know what you're going to get. Every day is a new day over there, and love that assignment.
Absolutely. Who wouldn't want to be a tillerman?
Oh, yeah. Old Bendy truck.
Yeah. I'm actually jealous because we don't have those anymore in Memphis.
Oh, dang.
I know. They used to have them back in the day that we call them senior aerials, and all the old guys brag about it, because it was a lot of fun, and we don't get to experience that anymore. So, But man, that's awesome. So you are connected with the Kitchen Table Foundation, and you also are running for state representative, right? And
yes,
they just did the
finished that
primaries.
race. Yeah.
Okay. And how'd that go?
We got close, but we lost. So,
Oh,
but it's
man.
real. I think we turned out really good, really proud. So it's a district of around 32,000. My home county, I won in, but the other county that the competitor lived in, we've got close to 2 counties in this race as a state rep. That was their hometown. She performed better over there and so the difference didn't really even out. I did good in my county, had a great turnout, but didn't overcome the higher voter turnout for her in the other county. So, but first time running, I think it went really well, especially for somebody who has not been in politics. Just like most of us, it's like, most of us would have zero desire for politics if you're a firefighter. But
Absolutely.
I saw the need there to be able to serve in that capacity and do good, because visiting the state capitol and seeing them vote on things, if you're wanting to make a change, you need to be the one casting the votes. That was kind of the driving factor there, is just wanting to serve in that bigger capacity. And I really learned a lot. There's a big steep learning curve entering into politics. So getting into it, I would run a race not completely differently, but I would be a lot more intense with it. And there's a lot of things I would change on the next race. So
awesome, man. I like your mindset on that because, like you said, basically if you want something to change, you got to be the change sometimes.
Yes.
And you got to put your voice out there and stand up for what you believe in. And I think that's kind of a lost mindset nowadays.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Cause we sit back a lot of times and we're like, somebody's got to do something. Well, yeah. I mean, what if that's you?
Yeah.
And that kind of hit me one day at Firehouse. I'm like, I'd kind of gotten involved a little more learning about politics because we had a couple bills come through in Arkansas for firefighters, and we had a couple other bills that just affected the general public some. And I went to the Capitol a couple times, got involved with some committees, just watching and listening. And it became pretty apparent that you can sit there and lobby, you can show up at the Capitol and throw hissy fits and whatever else you want to do. But ultimately, casting that vote and representing people is going to be your biggest shot at making a difference when it comes to laws and politics in that realm.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, how do you even get started on something like that?
What I did is I started job shadowing some of our reps and senators when I thought I had a inkling that I wanted to do it. For the past couple of years, I'm like, I think I'd be good at it. I think I would enjoy representing people in that way and be able to affect a change in a meaningful manner. So went up to the Capitol a bunch. I had one politician, RJ Hawk, that I knew because he's a real estate agent. I'm a real estate agent as well. And he's always trying to recruit me. And I said, hey, man, can I just job shadow you something? He said, yep. Come up to the Capitol, sit in these committee meetings, watch what's going on, and sat in a bunch of committee meetings, watched a couple votes, and asked him a bunch of questions. Because on my side of things, not being a politician, never having part of that realm, I couldn't have told you before exactly what a state rep did.
Sure.
And you can Google, but you get half of the view of what it really is on a day-to-day basis, what their day looks like and everything else. So following them around and networking with more and more of them and following them for probably 6 to 8 months, maybe a little bit longer before I ever came out that, hey, I'm going to run this race, because I wanted to, know that I could do the job, that I would be good at it and desired to do it. And I wanted to know the job as well. I didn't want to jump in. Oh yeah, pick me. Well, do you even like the job? Because if you're just looking from the outside looking in, you have no clue.
Sure.
So did that, was really blessed to have really good, responses from a lot of the senators and reps. Just really, from the outside looking in, you think they're really unapproachable. But you say, hey, can I just shadow you? Can I run around with you? Can we have lunch? Can you get on a phone call? Really receptive from a lot of them. And I wouldn't have expected that. So I had a good experience there, and just a good experience too, connecting and going to a lot of different events that I never would have probably gone to before, just to meet general public, getting involved in different things and active in our community with some of the issues that we're seeing.
Yeah. Do you think that this has changed your perspective or your views on politics?
It has, and I know there's some bad actors out there. We all kind of have seen some of that, but at least in the Arkansas General Assembly, I think you got a lot of pretty good workers up there. At least the ones that I've networked with and had a close realm with, they're just normal old good old dudes from Southern Arkansas that want to work hard and just want to make a difference. So I'm sure there's some that I haven't met that are not good, bad actors potentially, but in general, the ones that I've seen are pretty easy to approach, easy to talk with, and want to form and make a team of conservative guys to vote in and represent us best in conservative ways around here. Because we're big Republicans in this area. We're probably around 75-80% conservative Republican, at least in my district, and a lot of Southern Arkansas is. So
yeah, I wonder when you say all that. I wonder if most politicians in kind of the lower local levels, if they are, most of it, because I feel like the word politician has kind of been tarnished, and
absolutely,
it leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. And it makes you wonder, most of these like local level or state level representatives, like you said, they're hardworking people that care and they want to make a change. But the guys that are up higher in, so to speak, big leagues, those are the ones that are, career politicians, I think, are ruining the name and probably some of this like want to for people getting involved because they think that being a politician is such a bad thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you got to think from until about a year and a half ago, I was on the outside looking in, just general public, like all these dudes are crooks. So it really changed my opinion on a lot of things. Now I still view the same on federal level politicians, just for the simple fact that there's a lot of corruption that we see. I mean, you've got, for example, like AOC. She came up there as a bartender, had a net worth of nothing, and now it's like 42 million or whatever it is. Like in 4 years, and their salary is 175,000 or somewhere in that area. Yeah. Like, how does that math doesn't math? Right. So where is that money coming from? Is it taxpayers' money? Is it like, where is that? Right. At least in Arkansas, they passed a law years ago that pretty much makes it a felony to accept any bribes or any money, any backdoor deals, anything like that without fully disclosing it. So you should have every penny that you've ever earned in campaign funds or anything like that fully disclosed. I mean, I can't take while I'm running a campaign, you couldn't take anything without showing it, even if it's an in-kind donation. Hey, here's $100 gift certificate. I, either can't take it or have to fully disclose all of it. So I think we need some of that on the federal level, but I definitely kind of still view the federal thing the same because they don't have term limits. So you could go up there and be 30, 40 years. And I feel like they need to be a little bit more accountable, but I think they do pretty good in Arkansas from what I can see. It's definitely changed my view on a lot of different things. I'm not saying there's nothing bad going on. And I'm sure some of it is because I've just been a candidate. I haven't been exposed to it yet. You might get up there and be like, oh gosh, this place is horrible. But, it's everything we thought it was. Sound the horns. But no, it's been good kind of learning everybody and learning, the more I dove into learning the job, learning the people up there, making, essentially teams already with senators and reps, because there's 100 state reps in Arkansas. So if you're just a secular person, hard charging sounds great. But if you can't do teamwork and lead and gather people to vote with you, you're not going to get anything voted through, not a single law. And you'll be an ineffective lawmaker. But through the whole process, I've learned a lot, and it's given me more hope that job could be used for good. I mean, you could obviously pass bad laws and use for bad, but I see the value in being up there and the vision.
Absolutely. Well, I'm a Tennessee fireman. I'm not an Arkansas fireman, but on behalf of the Arkansas listeners, thank you, because we need more guys that care and want to do right, and from a fireman's perspective too, right? Because some of these occupations just get swept under the rug, and there's a lot of things that we've advanced in throughout the years, but there's a lot more advancing yet to come.
Yes.
So, but
and you've probably seen it like I have. Firefighters take the brunt of the lack of funding, the lack of, it's just like, oh, they're tough, they're fine. They don't need anything. Everybody just assumes that when you call 911, you're getting a fire truck. But what happens when you don't?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What happens when it's not there because apparatus shortages or funding or manpower issues? But
man, and you know what? Like, I wasn't even going to dive into this, but I will. From a business perspective, from the city's side of things, I understand we are an expense. We're not an income. You get some income from the EMS side, but you really don't get a lot from the fire side. And I understand the neglect, but at the same time, it's hard to understand. It's hard to to see it from that side, because this is a necessity. This is a public safety service that you owe to your residents. And I'm a fireman, I'm biased, but I don't understand how you can, neglect so bad that, like, I'm sure Little Rock's this way, but some of our apparatus are held together by duct tape. And but you know what I mean? Like, it's
yes. Oh, it's absolutely. We're not far from the same over here.
Yeah.
And so FEMA ranks ESF, emergency support functions. They rank it like bottom of the food bowl to the top. Fire response is way up here on ESF list, but yet we treat it funding wise as it's down here. I view it as a critical infrastructure, but
Absolutely.
we are so good at like what I grew up on a farm as farm fixes. And you're making something work in a unparalleled manner that's not really designed for it. Staffing shortages, we make it work. Apparatus shortages, we make it work. We show up, we do our job night or day, no matter what we're given, how much funding we've got, and we make sure the public does not know most of the time the disadvantages that we're going through, because we're a bunch of tough guys. We're like, hey, we're here to serve. And when you got a servant's heart, you're going to do what it takes to make it happen at a lot of cost. And sometimes that's to us, sometimes it's to our bodies. And it needs to be viewed in a different way, because in one aspect, we do our jobs almost too well. Because if we stopped doing our jobs so well and the public became very aware of these issues, like, hey, Grandma's house just burnt down and it took them 20 minutes to get here because the first two arriving units, the pumps didn't work, or they were staffed with one guy apiece, or whatever that might look like for the departments across the nation. We do really good, and we Band-Aid stuff together, and it's good that we're very resilient in that way and that we can do that. But at the same time, we need what we've got to have to make this job as safe as we can make it, because we all want to make it home to our families every night or every morning when we get off. And it's a dangerous job. And a lot of people don't want to think the fact that, you get experience in the fact that life is very fragile, and this job reminds you of that. So I'm blessed every time I come home. Sure. And whatever we can do to make the likelihood of our firefighters and any first responders making it back home after shift, we need to do that. They've got tax funding. We have seen some wild tax spending every state. Look at Minnesota. They just had like $14 billion for learning centers. The dang Somali learning centers. Like, how do you have $14 million just without, you're paying too much taxes if that can go unnoticed for years. Yeah. What would $14 million do for any fire, emergency response, or police in that state? Lord, they could have every piece of technology that is out there to do their job.
Yeah, absolutely. You say that it's like farming. Like you said, you do what you got to do to get through harvest. Problem with us is that harvest never ends. It's like we're just bolting stuff together and welding things together to, like you said, and we do such an amazing job that, and even so, if you showed up and did a poor job, people are still like, thank you so much, and because they know, that we're there for them. But, you're right. We do a good job of masking it. Adapt and overcome is always the phrase that's thrown out. And we don't complain. We just show up and do what we need to do. And, it's unfortunate because it takes that good character to have a good fireman, I think. Mm-hmm. But maybe if we had more complainers, we'd get some stuff done.
The squeaky wheel gets old. Yeah. And we're very good at not being squeaky.
Right. But man, so I kind of want to cover like early Eric and how you got to where you are today with your career, with some of the organizations you work with. So just kind of give us an insight on how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so I'll make it pretty short, started volunteering very young. Dad was a chief at the local volunteer fire department, so always ran on calls with him. Got addicted to, sitting in the passenger seat, driving fast, lights and sirens. Oh, this is the coolest thing ever. Little kid gets to watch houses burn. And so started, I think, at 16. Couldn't make entry or anything like that, but obviously just a grunt, do this, do that, and got addicted to that. Served all through high school, volunteer, went to college, got a degree in emergency management, homeland security, because I knew that I kind of liked that first responder sector. It really just, it played to my point, I always want to be busy and doing something. I'm not good at just kind of sitting down unless it's in a recliner at the firehouse. That's different. But through college, was on search and rescue teams, a rescue diver, rope rescue technician, swiftwater rescue technician. After college, looked at joining the military, but met my wife and knew that was a pretty good strain, long distance and all. Met her senior year, and I was like, well, I think she's going to be my wife at some point. So I might not want to try to start this long distance relationship with somebody who I think is just a good fit for that role, because I know the strains that it would put on it. So became a firefighter in Bryant for 2 years, and then went to Little Rock the past probably 14, 15, and been there ever since. In the meantime, growing up, I worked for my family's construction company. So I had a background doing commercial and residential construction. So that helps obviously with our job half the time we're disassembling houses to get to the fire. So knowing how they're built helps definitely with truck work, with pulling them apart. And then I injured my back somewhere in 15 on a fire, had a bulging disc, and realized that I had two high impact jobs, construction work and firehouse, and I was just going from one to the next. Got my real estate license, and a couple years after having that, got my broker's license, which is just the next level up so you can oversee other agents, and started overseeing other agents. And now I've got my own real estate brokerage as of about 4 or 5 months ago, so that I can completely independently charge whatever I want, discount whatever I want, just have total freedom on that, because a lot of that market is it's not like price fixing, but you're highly encouraged. Hey, you really need to get X percentage out of this. And I've always thought real estate was a little overcharged, because being blue collar worker my whole life. So I hardly ever charge what is considered industry standard. And, because there's people that they might not have a whole lot of equity in their house, but they need to get sold, and you need a little flexibility there and a little understanding, a little compassion to that, and not just say, well, I've got to get, whatever percentage you're shooting for. So, but that's been a good off day career so far, because it allows for a lot of flexibility on coming and going. I love the driving portion too. Showing houses is fun, but the big part is, if you're a hustler, it's a good role for you, because it's commission based. Is you can make as much as you want or as little. You can be as busy as you want or as laid back. So it's been good. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, heck yeah. Have you always been a truck guy?
No, I became a truck. I was probably 6 or 7 years into my career before I got on my first truck. I always knew I liked it, but in Little Rock, it's kind of deemed as you're not old enough, you're not wise enough, you hadn't put in your time in yet, because truck work is more for the senior guys.
Sure.
And I always loved tools growing up. Built stuff all the time, worked in construction work. So all the tools on the truck, knew them all, been using them for years. Other than, like extrication tools, but all the hand tools and all, super versed. So I'm very drawn to it, but started that, love it. Obviously some of the upsides are you don't have to do as many medicals, but you get to go in and break stuff on fires, but I do miss being on the hose line some. Yeah. So it's always fun pushing in and putting fire out versus having to pull steel in. But there's upsides and downsides to both.
Man, we don't really do the senior guy on the truck thing. It's you just get assigned somewhere, out of fire school, and so you have guys that go straight to a truck, and they learn a lot, and they do good, and they become good truck guys. I'm kind of curious though, do you think what's the importance you think of getting your feet wet and losing some of that green behind your ears before you go to a truck?
So one of the biggest things I would say on that is experience. And like I say, get your feet wet, because you could go to a truck or a slow unit, promote through the ranks on slow units, and be a captain of someone, and they're going to be looking for you. Hey, what do we do when we make it in this fire? Hey, what do we do in this scenario or that scenario? Because we run into new stuff all the time, and new challenges present themselves as cars change, as houses change. So I guess my concern would be, you've got a fire captain leading a crew now, and they're not experienced enough to really do it and protect themselves and their crew. Versus, hey, when we get you out of rookie school, you're going to a busy house, and you're going to be at that busy house your entire rookie year for the first year, and then you can bid out to where you want. But in Little Rock, we've got a bid system, and it's a seniority bid system. So if a spot comes open on a pump on engine 12, it's a fairly slow, moderate to slow pump, that it would unlikely be filled with just guys that are go-getters. It's going to be more senior guys typically that, hey, I put time in, I'm going to go out there. So since it's a bid system, you're unlikely to get it being a rookie and coming out. You're going to get the busier houses that people get tired of, worn out. So the way they have it set up is pretty good with getting experience. You still have people that can kind of hide out. And the concern is, hey, you've hidden out your whole career, and now you're a captain or a battalion chief, and you're ordering guys around. Hey, do this, do that, without a knowledge base to back it. And in our industry, I mean, you can get away with that in a lot of other industries. Fake it till you make it. Well, you fake it on a fire ground, you might not make it. You
somebody else might not make it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the risk there. But yeah, I kind of do agree that people need to, especially if they don't have time on other departments before they come on, to get some experience. Don't be afraid to get your feet wet and do some work. And that way you've got a knowledge and background. So yeah, I would probably say that most of our people don't get on trucks. That's more of a highly sought after, and more of the senior guys bid on trucks. So you're probably, when I first came on, you weren't getting on trucks before you were 5 years in.
Sure.
Some of it's changed a little bit now, but you've got some trucks in our areas that are pretty busy. I think my truck's probably 2,300 calls a year, 2,000, 2,300. But I really enjoy it. It's a fun truck. So
y'all, when you graduate fire school, you have to bid on a spot?
No, you were pretty much assigned a spot. I think they'll tell you they don't know where you're going, but they talk to the captains and they try to pair you. They try to pair you with somebody that works out good for you typically, as best as they can, and they'll assign you to those stations. Once your year is up, then you can bid on these spots that are open.
Okay, that's how we do it too. I just misunderstood, but you get an assignment, and then you can't go anywhere for a year. You're stuck. And it's funny because we have those slow spots too. The retirement homes, and the guys that have done their time and they're camping out till retirement. They go there, and the problem that we've had is recently there's been a lot of openings in those spots. And so, it used to be the busier, hotter companies where those guys were getting promoted or getting their paramedic license and having to go somewhere else. And so you always had an opening, and you're putting new guys at some of these other houses. And that's becoming less true. It's more of a widespread assignment now. And so you're getting brand new guys going out to, Cordova, which is our slower area. And it's kind of unfortunate for them, because that first year is so crucial, in learning the foundation of the job and the expectations and stuff like that. So, but no, our system is pretty similar. We can bid if someone dies, gets fired, or gets or retires, then it goes out for bid before anything else. So, very cool. I definitely like the truck thing. It makes it kind of prestigious too. Like, it's something to work for,
Yes. Oh yeah. 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 It was harder when I got on the truck 7. I really didn't think I was an engineer, and probably had 3 or 4 years as an engineer. So I was probably 8 years on, I would assume. And I really didn't think I was going to have enough seniority to get it. I bid it and I was like, I'm going to put my bid in. It's truck 7. Like everybody wants that tiller truck. And we only had 2 in all Little Rock. And now we've got 1 because one's broke down and they won't fix it.
Yeah.
Surprise. Yeah. But I'm going to get fired after this episode. But so I really didn't expect to get it. Got it. And I've been there probably 5 years now. Yeah. And love it. I got guys, when you leaving truck 7? I said, well, you can't pull me off this apparatus. We get the best of both worlds. We've got all the fire to the south with boarded up structures. We got $1 million homes to the north. To the west, we've got shopping. To the east, we got the Capitol, and we've got a battalion house. So I love the district, and I was at a district before Station 15 that was when I was on that pump, we did about 3,600 calls a year just on that one pump. It had 21 elderly facilities. Wow. In that district because we had a major hospital there, so they just stacked them up in there. And but there was, oh man, you talking about sleepless nights. I promoted out of that station after being there 2-3 years, and I thought that I was having low testosterone. I thought I was just maybe getting old because I would drag all day long. I'd have no energy. I was probably 26, 27 when I left there. And I was like, man, I'm just, something's going downhill. Like, I'm breaking down. Something is wrong. Yeah. Something is not right. Well, I promoted into, when you promote, they just throw you wherever there's an opening. Promoted into Station 12, slower house. Sleep all night. It was after about 2 weeks, my energy came all right back. I'm like, wow, it was just sleep deprivation. That was all it was. Yeah. I'm like, all I needed to do was sleep all night long. Yeah. That was it. So,
man, it's funny you say that. I was talking to a buddy I got off work this morning. And the station I'm at, we're pretty consistent in being the busiest engine company in the city every year. So, one of the busiest companies in the city every year. And it's funny because we were talking about it and like the future, I love where I'm at. We've got a lot of work. We make a lot of runs. We have fun. The people I work with are great. But we were joking that being assigned to Engine 16 should be on your medical records, because it should be a medical condition. Like you probably got hypertension, you got some other kind of heart problem, sleep deprivation, it should be a medical condition being assigned to a busy company. Yeah.
Yes. And you ought to get like service ribbons as well, kind of like military service ribbons. Like I've been to so-and-so house for so many times and, it's like, oh dude, that guy's seen stuff. Yeah. But
oh man. And, but man, on a serious note though, like we have talked about the guys at the firehouse, we've talked about like promotional tests. You should get seniority points or merit points for the houses that you work at, because you go 5 years at some stations and you'll have more experience than, 15 years at a slow station. But I mean, that's just the truth of it. We all get paid the same. And
because we've all seen the guy that hides out his whole career, comes and just aces a practical test and promotional exam. And it's like, dude, you've done nothing, but you're going to have rank. You're going to have rank. You get the pay, you get, honor, whatever it is that people are looking for rank. And, it's like, I didn't get to study all day long on shift because I was running medical calls and fires. You got 8 hours of studying in every day that I didn't get. So I could study off job, but I mean, it's definitely a disadvantage. Yeah. But we've all seen those guys that we deem as not deserving of whatever rank they're going into because we didn't feel like they earned it.
That's what we're getting ready to have our promotional test year. They haven't announced it yet, but I think it's been 3 years since the last lieutenant's test. So it'll be coming up. And that's, I'm eligible now, so I'm going to be taking it. And they keep saying, you've got to take it because otherwise you're going to end up with that guy, as your lieutenant, that you've got more experience than he does, but he's your boss. So it is what it is, so, but man, you are linked up. You work with the Kitchen Table Foundation. Which I briefly mentioned them in the beginning of the episode, one of the sponsors of this podcast, and y'all are doing great things for the men and women of the fire service. So let's just dive into that. I want to use this as an introduction and a way for people to understand what the Kitchen Table Foundation is, how they can get linked up if they need resources, and, whatever else we can provide as far as knowledge on the organization. So, how did you get linked up with the Kitchen Table Foundation?
Well, it kind of just started, and I'm a member of it. It kind of just started as, hey, why don't you come out, have a meal with us, have a drink, and it's just firefighters, first responders, a place to kind of decompress. There's definitely nobody forcing you. Well, tell me about your bad call, but we've kind of as an industry. I feel like older firefighters and stuff, maybe back in the day, they hung out off shift. Well, we do everything on shift, but who's there for us when we need to talk about something, or we just want to hang out or decompress off shift? Are we having gatherings? Are we doing stuff? Are we supporting each other? Either mental health, emotional health, physical health. So a big part of that, I saw the vision of it, and I was like, yeah, I'll show up. And it was a good gathering. And, but it's to kind of bring awareness to some of that too, to some of the mental health side of things, because we've become so hardened as kind of a little ecosystem in the firehouse as you're fine. Right. And you might be fine. And then you might, once a life event happens, not be fine with it. We can, I've gone to several of the IAF Center of Excellence's, little podcast and watched them because I had issues. Where, I've experienced multiple fatalities with children involved. And I was fine. I was fine forever, and if you would have asked me, I'm like, no, I'm good. Until I had kids. And then it kind of hit home a little different. Then you start thinking about it more, and then you start seeing yourself hyper vigilant with your kids because of what you've seen happen to others. So it's good to have a avenue to talk about some of those things, because we see firefighter suicides, and it's like, well, what happened to Bob? He was silently suffering with no one to talk to about some of his issues because he didn't feel like there was anybody safe to talk to, because we're constantly as an industry being like, suck it up, buttercup, get over it. And I agree that's needed on the fire ground. We do a tough job. We need to be able to compartmentalize when we go on a call and be able to perform our jobs efficiently on a call and not be like having flashbacks like while you're there. But we need to have that ability to compartmentalize to some aspect. But when you compartmentalize, you're putting everything in shoeboxes and you put it in the closet. Like, here's this bad traumatic event. Let me put it in the shoebox, tuck it away, put it in the closet. Never happened. We're good. Yeah. At some point in your career, if you're busy, if you're hiding out, I don't know that you still have the capacity to be exposed to bad stuff. But at some point in your career, that closet's getting full. Mm-hmm. And you can't put any more in, and stuff starts spilling out and you can't get it back in. Right. And so it's good to have an avenue for some of these firefighters that most of the time we're just hanging out. But should they want to talk, they've got people that they feel comfortable with to bring up stuff. And I've always been pretty open about it, because it's taboo to bring up anything when you get back from a call and say, hey, I had an issue with that. That call was tough, or whatever it is. And I've been there, I probably haven't, it was probably just 2 or 3 years ago that I went and, looked on the IAF Center of Excellence website and went through some of their podcasts and did some therapy and looked through some of that stuff, kind of bottled a lot of that because I was experiencing some, PTSI, I think is what they kind of call it, post-traumatic stress injury, because a disorder is the dirty word now. Sure. But it's like, oh no, I don't have PTSD. Don't take my guns or anything else. But, no, it's just, every other industry, if you have a tough day, you come home, you talk to your family, you talk to whoever. Well, a lot of us, like, I didn't want to burden my wife with stuff I've seen. I didn't feel like it was that they could relate or that they would feel comfortable with that. And if I was struggling with it, I didn't want anybody else to struggle with it. So I wouldn't bring anything up. So that's kind of some of my story and my desire to serve there in whatever capacity that might look like, to be a advocate or just to be somebody like, hey, I understand we see stuff. And that's part of our job. You don't go through the fire career, military, law enforcement without taking some wounds. I mean, you are in battle there. And if you're seeing stuff all the time, it's not normal for us to see people die. Because one of the things the IAF Center of Excellence will tell you is most people will experience a traumatic event to them once in their lifetime. They will experience somebody die just once. Mm-hmm. How often do we see multiple a month or multiple a year? So, I mean, that your capacity to handle that, everybody's a little different. And so, but the Kitchen Table Foundation's I see the good vision there on the gathering and supporting mental and emotional health and kind of well-being, or just giving it a avenue for, hey, let's just hang out. Let's have a beer and just chill off shift, because we work on shift, and my wife will be like, one of my best friends is Josh, and he works on the same apparatus as me. So he'll drive the front, or I'll drive the front. We're on the same truck and sleep in the same bunk room. We're always talking. So we're there. We work at 4896. We're there 48 hours straight. Right. And there's times where I'm like, hey, when we get off, let's go eat breakfast, or let's go do this or that. And wife's like, you not get sick and tired of that? It's like, well, it's different though. It's like you get to do what you want to do when you're off shift. Let's go shopping, or let's go play golf. Let's go hunting. It's just different than being on shift and being while you're serving. So this gives you an avenue to hang out with fellow firefighters, enjoy yourselves, get some food, talk, and they're there. People are there for you if you need them, and if not, you're still hanging out and having a good time. Yeah, man, and you kind of hear the old guys these days say, y'all are soft. Talking about what do you mean you want to talk about your feelings and stuff like that? And listening to what you had to say, it makes me wonder. Do you think that this change in mentality is because we don't hang out after work or away from work anymore? And then the reason I say that is because, like you said, you hear stories about firehouses taking vacations at the same time and going on a fishing trip, or, like their family was truly their family. All the wives knew each other. All the kids grew up together. All the guys were hanging out, on the weekends when they weren't at work together. And like you said, it's different now. We don't do that. There's still some houses I know of that are pretty good about getting together, and they're very tight knit. But for the most part, you're right. You don't hear that. And, when you think about it, when you break it down, maybe the reason those guys could cope better, maybe they didn't talk about it. And so they were struggling and you just never knew, or maybe they were able to cope with it better because they were constantly around people that understood. And because you're right, when you come home, it's 50%. I don't want to put this on my wife. And it's also 50% of, she's not even going to understand why I feel the way I feel, or what I saw, or any of that other crap, so it is hard to, even if you don't specifically talk about the call or that it bothered you or anything else, like, what do we do when we get together? We talk about work, even if we don't mean to, it comes up, so it's like you're processing it, you're working through it, even if you don't mean to, just by being around people that understand. And, some that me and my buddies talk about all the time is it's hard to go to functions that are not with other firemen. You hang out with people, like my wife's friend. I'll go hang out with my wife's friends. Her friends are some of my good friends too. But when I shift into talking about work, they don't have any clue on, the conversation usually dies because there's nothing to add to it. And it's like, well, this guy built a house yesterday and I tore one apart, we're not the same. We're built different.
I mean, do you think that's a part of the generational shift or the mindset shift, or?
I do. Yeah. It's a cultural change almost. I feel like there used to be more of a brotherhood. And that might have been even more before I came on 16 years ago. But I definitely see a change, like post COVID too. Everybody got so where it became isolation became the normal. So we didn't go to community events. We didn't go to churches. We didn't go to all these other things. And we've become so segmented as a society. Coming back together it feels awkward for a lot of people now. It's like we don't want to share. I would tell every dude out there to be like, hey, talk to your wife. I mean, my wife's a nurse. I mean, she's going to be a little more connected than some people, but I still didn't talk to her. And it's one of those things. They don't have to completely understand to say, hey, I know you had a bad day. That sounded like that sucked. They just,
Right.
And I'm not always looking for affirmations and all that. I don't need pats on backs, but there's some times where you just want to, tell someone, hey, yesterday sucked. And let's just acknowledge that sucked. And let's hope that we don't have any more days like that or nights like that. Instead of just saying, I'm okay, I'm fine, because, we've got people out there that are hurting. Some of the things I did when I was kind of more deeply, in the mental mess I was in. I mean, you look for items to try to soothe you. You look for, they'll tell you you're looking for drugs, alcohol, or other dangerous things. It might just be speeding, just to feel a thrill again. You might not find joy in the things that you used to do. I love shooting. I've been a competitive shooter growing up. It's always just been, it's a kind of weird. It's almost like soothing, like the bang of the gun and just shooting and performing well. But when I was having issues, I was like, I'm going to go. I remember one day I told my wife, I said, I'm going to go shooting. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to go out in the field. I'm going to shoot because I'm going to find joy in it. It's going to be like a reset for me. Went out there, shot, did nothing for me. I was just almost like emotionally dead. And that plays back on them too. They deserve better because I was emotionally kind of absent for my wife as well. And women need you to be there emotionally. And I'm just like, but so we need to do better as a culture with kind of bringing that back and having more of an open door policy. These captains are the ones that run the firehouse. So when you got these hardcore captains that are a zero emotional availability because they've never had anybody for them, so they're not going to be available for anybody else. And you might have to be available once a year to a firefighter that just wants to, hey man, can we talk about that call where XYZ happened? Yeah, come on, man. You just got to be approachable and have an open door policy. But so much of our culture is, you're fine. Let's not talk about it. We didn't see that. We didn't do that. Like, huh? Like, is this deja vu? So I'm not saying everybody needs counseling or anything else. It definitely, it helped me. And I was never worried about suicide or anything like to that issue. But, like I said earlier, you don't go through this career without taking some wounds. And if you were bleeding out on your arm or something, you'd apply a tourniquet or a Band-Aid or something. But we're bleeding out and we're just like,
I'm fine.
I'm fine. Leave me alone. Don't look at it. Don't acknowledge it. Don't touch it. I'm fine.
Yeah.
And you're only fine for so long. And so so half of it is just being open and be accepting as a culture. On my side of things, I just open it up, dialogue in the firehouse, because you've got younger firefighters that don't have a whole lot of years on. You got the older firefighters, and I'll sit there at the table like, well, tell me about that call. Well, does that what's that? Any issues with that, or, just kind of opening up some conversation. And then the harder part typically has been to knock down any rebuttal from anybody else that's not part of that conversation. Because if I'm connecting with another firefighter who might be having an issue, you're going to have somebody on the other end of the table, y'all sissies, cut it out. Or I'm like, hey, like that's the hardest part, is saying, hey, dude, like, I understand we're not talking to you and you're not part of this, but hey, let us talk. This is part of decompressing. This is part of just sharing. If he's having a problem or he's experienced something tough, I mean, it's not like a cat in a tree every day. We deal with people dying. We deal with real world stuff. And if you want to talk about that multi-car fatality where it was just bad, then let's decompress. Let's talk about it.
Sure.
So that's probably been the harder part, is being at the firehouse with people and having to somewhat squelch the naysayers that are there to just call you names, because it makes them uncomfortable sometimes too.
Yeah.
To even hear emotions or feelings or whatever it might look like. So just being open, that's kind of, that's a tough part, but also, trying to rebuttal other people who don't want to see any progress there.
Right. Man, it's funny, or maybe it's not funny. I don't know. I'm a medic, so I have to ride the unit for 12 hours out of my shift. And I try to take, as the medic, you're the manager of that unit. So yeah. I try to take care of the guys. I try to take care of the piece of equipment, whatever. And if we make a bad call, I always ask the guys, "Are you good?" Most of them say, "Oh yeah, dude, I'm fine." And, I'm a firm believer. We're men, we're adults, and I'm not going to pry. If you say you're good, I'm not going to bring it up again, Yep. But there was one day we made a 3-year-old shot by a drive-by. And, I asked the guy, he's working on the ticket. He was in training, and I said, "Man, you good?" And he's like, "I think so." And I'm like, I think so. Like, you are or not? Yeah. And he kind of broke down for a second, and I was like, fuck, I wasn't prepared for this, but, I said, just stop doing the ticket. We're just going to talk about the good, the bad, what we could have changed, what we couldn't have changed. And, I contacted our EMS battalion chief, and I said, "Look, we're going to be at the hospital for longer than we should be, because we're going to just take a second." And she was like, "Stay out of service. I'm already setting up the debriefing, and then that's what you need is,
yes,
if you say you're good, that's as much as I can do for you. Yeah. But if someone reaches out and says, this kind of fucked me up, we owe it to them. If we're going to call them our brother or our sister, we owe it to them to treat them like that." Amen. Because if, I'm an only child, so I can only speak from watching my kids grow up. But if someone pushes my daughter down, my son is there for her, Yeah. And so for our quote unquote brothers and sisters, we owe it to them to be there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, we give so much care and compassion to the public, but then we'll eat our own. Yeah. It's like, what are we doing here? But yeah, like in that scenario, that's absolutely, let's dig down here. Because there's been years I'm fine. And I wasn't, but to have somebody there that would have dug and dug through I'm fine. Like, okay, are we married? Because I know my wife, if I'm fine, is not okay. But, my rookie year, I had a 2-year-old, it was a 14-month-old, something like that. We believe SIDS happened, did CPR, all that. Had the family there, hysterical, crying. I mean, what you would expect. Sure. And I remember, I didn't have kids at the time, but I remember coming back from riding the ambulance all the way in, doing CPR, seeing everything unfold at the ER, where they told the parents, "Hey, your kid's dead. I'm sorry. There's nothing more we can do." That was probably my first experience with a fatality of a kid. And that's my first couple months on the job. Yeah. And I remember crying on the ride back from the firehouse in rear facing seats. Nobody could see me. I felt comfortable, just kind of overwhelmed with it. And for 10 years, nope, I'm fine. And that's in that shoebox, in that closet. And, you wouldn't revisit it all the time, but it seems like after I had kids is when a lot more of those memories it was tougher to keep those suppressed and keep those back. And when you're driving down the road, having flashbacks, and you reliving those memories, even though you did everything you could do, there's a lot, I got a lot of healing just talking to people and saying, "Hey, let me unload. Let me unload all these calls on you. And this was tough. That was bad." And so, if we would have growing up through the fire service had someone who was there for you and say, "Hey, and truly there for you," because until I was with till I was probably with my crew that I'm with now, I never felt comfortable. I feel more comfortable now with my current crew if we had something tough, I'd talk to them if I needed to. But before then, I probably didn't have a crew I would ever feel comfortable with, Just there's bickering back and forth. It was an unsafe space. It's get over it. You're fine. And that's just that's a culture that we could work on. And, it just takes a couple of strong leaders to say, hey, let's quit doing this. Let's quit eating our own and acknowledge that there's a problem and that firefighter suicide is a thing. And it should never get that far before we see some red flags, see alcoholism or whatever else that these things cause, and say, hey man, let's talk. Let's dig down. Let me be your brother, brother in Christ, brother at the firehouse, and let's talk. Let's unpackage some of this. And we're not counselors, so we're probably not certified for some of this stuff, but we're one of the few people that they're probably willing to open up to, because I was never comfortable talking to anybody outside the fire service.
Absolutely.
Because you don't know what I've been through. How could you show compassion or even care? Because you have no clue. So you haven't lived that life. But
right. Exactly. I mean, it's the cliche of the person coming up and saying, what's the worst thing you've ever seen?
God, yeah. I brought that up earlier.
You don't want to know that, You don't really want to know that. But man, you're right. And the thing is too, and I'm not going to take any credit for this. It was from an article or a video or something I'd seen, but it's important to stress to these younger guys too, that, post-traumatic stress, whether it's an injury or disorder or however you want to word it, it's not a 100% bad thing. That is an evolutionary, tactic of your body, your brain, of your conscience, that, you remember these things that happen to you because in the future, it's an experience that you can do something different or avoid this or be better. Where it's an issue is if it's affecting your performance or your day-to-day life. And that's where you need to address it, but rolling up on a house that looks like a house you've been to and remembering that this went bad last time, it maybe puts you a little on edge, and then maybe you approach with caution and avoid a bad situation, and so it's like, it's okay to talk about it. We talk about fires when we get back. And we learn from that. So let's talk, and we do a pretty good job at my firehouse where because we make a lot of traumas, because of the area that we work in. But we talk about them, and it's not necessarily a formal thing where it's, who did this and why did you do that? But it's just a conversation of, oh yeah, man. And then this happened. And then, oh yeah, I saw you do that. And you're just processing it, and you kind of learn because you understand why this guy did this and why she did that. And that adds tools to your toolbox. And, so it's very important to talk about this stuff. And, if you want to pour your heart out, if that helps, do it. But it's not a totally negative thing to feel a certain way or want to talk about a call that you've been on.
Oh yeah. And from some of the stuff I've seen is like firefighters with any kind of mental health, PTSD, whatever it is, we're still super high performers. You can still show up and do your job amazingly and still have issues that we're just really great at hiding, because we've always been we're first ones in, last ones out type deal. Nobody else is coming. So you've got to be the person. They rely on you, and you're going to step up. Whereas, I think we high perform really well and don't show a whole lot of outward bound symptoms a lot of times, where we see some like military guys come back from overseas. I had a buddy that he rode around with me during college, and if there was a bag on the side of the road, he'd be like, he was going to swerve into oncoming traffic, because in his mind that was IED.
Right.
And you're going to die if you get near it. So I feel like we see little different types of responses there, PTSD wise, and we've got a lot of baggage, so to say, almost, and a lot of times we just need to decompress some of that. And
I think too, the reason that a lot of guys get told, to not talk about it or just play it off, is because you do have guys that went to war and their experience was so bad that, like you said, he's willing to swerve into oncoming traffic to avoid a piece of trash on the side of the road, because to him that means something, life or death. Yeah. And I think most of us have the understanding that, like, someone's always got it worse than me, because we see that, right? Every call we go on, that person's experiencing something worse than our life right now. And I think a lot, like, this is actually my own perspective, is for a long time, I wouldn't open up even to my wife, because I'm like, I don't have issues. These people that went overseas, they're experiencing something way worse than what I've experienced. And so I think that plays into the whole, like, you need to bury it down, because you've never seen someone get shot in front of you or your best friend get blown up. And it's like, so what you're going through can't be that bad.
Yeah, it didn't happen to you. You just viewed it. It was like, yeah, I get it. But, like, we try to quantify, and I think everybody's a little different. There's things that don't affect me one bit that affect another brother of mine. And, I don't necessarily have to understand it, but to just be there for him, like, man, yeah, that does suck, man. I can see how that would be that way. So I think all of us are a little different in our aptitude to be, exposed to different things and it affect us. But, there's nothing normal about death and having to experience it. And, how always, if you work on a medic unit, we have people, so to say, die on us. I mean, they might sustain life-threatening injuries before we ever make it on scene. I mean, it's not like we're causing it. We're there to help, but just experiencing that and relating to that and being like, man, it takes its toll.
I want to kind of dive into some of the resources or some of the things that the services that the Kitchen Table Foundation provides. So what are some of the things that y'all can do for the men and women out there that might need some help?
Yeah, so you've got a brotherhood, you got a gathering. We do those quite often, actually, and I think they're opening up new chapters all the time. So they're branching out to make it more accessible to a lot of people, because you'll find that if you can just connect with another firefighter, a lot of times you can resolve a lot of stuff just doing that, knowing that you can talk to somebody, open up to somebody, because it feels so weird to open up to another guy, to share emotions. I mean, we're just not that kind of people. It's so awkward. So getting to that point where you even feel comfortable, a lot of times it takes time. It takes gathering and having a drink, having some something to eat, and just a good old time gathering, and to where you can make those bonds and that friendship and that connection. Because if you don't have connections, you're not going to ever feel comfortable opening up. Past that, I think they're also willing to send people off to the IFF Center for Excellence, because they have a legit brick and mortar where they only treat firefighters. I think they built that place after 9/11, after seeing the need for it. And they've got a lot of resources online too, because when I was kind of going through some stuff, I watched a lot of their podcasts and their stuff online, because I was not about to go during that time and seek like true help. That wasn't me. There's no way you don't go to a counselor, that whole, like, we're too hard. So I'd watch a couple podcasts because I knew something wasn't right. I wanted to seek a resolve there and find help. And they had a lot on there, and it made things click and understand. It makes you feel a lot less, the outcast, and more of a normal, hey, like, this is normal to experience these kind of things in the career that you're in, and to go through this, and you're not alone, because it is very self-isolating in a way of, okay, I must be the only one here that's had a problem, like,
right. But, especially when guys at the table are telling you, hey, we don't talk about that, like, just get over it, and now you do feel like, man, well, I guess none of these guys are bothered by it. I guess I'm the only one that has an issue.
Tuck it up in the box and push it away, and I'm fine. You're right. Yeah. So, that's I think that's a lot of different avenues there, from the local level of connecting with other firefighters who are open and just saying, hey, let's just hang out. And there's absolutely, I don't think I've been to an event yet where I've talked about that had somebody come up and talk about emotions. So it's not like solely focused on it. It's literally about the connecting and being open should someone want to talk. And because, I mean, it's a brotherhood. And if you're not connecting and forming those bonds, I mean, it's not a brotherhood. It's just a coworker.
And then having the resources, if they do, to push them along and help them.
Yep. So they're kind of doing a lot of outreach now, going to different event venues and spreading the word and setting up new outposts essentially. And so I think that's good. I think it's a good mission. I see the value in it from my side of things enough to, come on a podcast. And I think this is the second podcast I've ever done.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Happy to. But I would tell somebody to reach out to, if they've got people they trust, reach out to them, talk to them. If you're wanting more serious things, like something free and online, go to the IAFF Center of Excellence, go to their website. They've got a lot of podcasts. They've got a lot of things on there for the firefighter themselves and even to the family members. They've got one that I sent my wife because wives and spouses, they don't understand.
Right.
They don't understand what you're going through, why you might be acting the way you're acting, why you might be doing the things that you're doing, because you might not even understand it yet. But they've got resources on there for even the families like, hey, is your firefighter doing X, Y, Z? Here might be why. And here's what they go through. And here's the mental breakdown and the psychology of it. So I tell somebody to go on there or reach out to somebody they care for and feel like they can talk with.
Absolutely. And y'all have different chapters, right? So like a city could set up a chapter.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. They're constantly setting up new ones. I know Little Rock's got one around Little Rock, Central Arkansas area. They're starting a new one up in Conway. So I think they're looking to constantly grow and branch out, because if you're looking at the brotherhood's not just local, it's nationwide. So it'd be good to start a movement like this in a bigger way to help out firefighters, because we're all probably experiencing this same need, so to say.
But man, okay. So if people wanted to contact y'all, they can go to the website, they can go, social medias, which I will link down in the description.
Yes.
But is there anything else you want to throw out there about the Kitchen Table Foundation that maybe people should know about the organization or anything that y'all are doing?
Yeah. So I guess one thing I didn't mention earlier is, I talk a lot about fire service, but Kitchen Table Foundation is for all first responders. So very inclusive there, because we're all in the suck sometimes, so to say. And so it's good for all of us to kind of come together and break bread and just have a good time. So definitely don't want to leave out our EMS and police and military. So.
Yeah. Well, great, man. And like I said, thanks again for, being willing to come on here and talk about it. I've really enjoyed the conversation. For the people that have been listening, they know that this is just kitchen table talk, back of the bay talk. So I didn't really have anything specific planned other than I wanted to touch base on the Kitchen Table Foundation. But I've really enjoyed it, and getting to hear about the journey of, being a newer politician and everything like that. It's been a lot of fun for me. So, I've enjoyed it, and, I can't say thank you enough. I know that, anyone listening who's gained, something from this, they're thankful too. So, with that, for those of you listening, if you've gotten something from this, or if you've enjoyed listening, give us a share on social media. Send it to somebody that you think might benefit from this. Like I said, check out our sponsors, Engine House Designs and the Kitchen Table Foundation. Definitely check them out. Like we've covered in this episode, there's a lot of great resources. And even if you don't need resources right now, it's just great to get together with your brothers and sisters outside of work, hanging out, talking about the job, because like we discussed, a lot of people don't know, they can't relate. They don't know what we're going through or what we do. So take advantage of them. Always keep a lookout. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Along with, I've got a page on Instagram and a group on Facebook for the podcast. So feel free to join the discussions, whether it's in the comments on those posts or if you catch a live episode and you want to jump in while we're live, do that. But that's it. That's all we got. So as always, stay safe and ignite the pride.